This Week in Startups is brought to you by Uber. Read all about the ways Uber is moving forward by going to uber.com/moving forward. LinkedIn. More than the world's largest professional network, it's also a better way to find great talent. Go to linkedin.com/twist and get a $50 credit toward your first job post. And Hover. Your online identity begins with your domain name. Show who you are and what you're passionate about. Go to hover.com/twist and get 10% off your first purchase.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is another episode of This Week in Startups, the podcast where we talk about technology, startups, angel investing, and all that great stuff. We've just started doing a new feature, live call-ins. That's right, and today we're going to take live call-ins. We have our first caller on the line. Her name is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, are you there?
Hey, Jason. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you, Elizabeth. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, which is the sort of mini Silicon Valley of the Southeast.
Very cool.
A really awesome little town. It's growing, has a really vibrant tech community, lots of great startups here, lots of support. It's a fantastic place to be right now.
That's fantastic. We have a rule here with angel investing. Never underestimate anybody, and a great founder can come from anywhere. So while in the book,
awesome,
I say in chapter 5, listen, if you want to be a great angel investor, you have to be here in Silicon Valley because that's where a lot of the big deals are. We are spending our time going and finding the best founders from each of the different cities around the world and bringing them to Silicon Valley to plug them into the investor network here. So just so people are clear, a great founder can come from anywhere, including where Elizabeth's from. So, Elizabeth, you have a question?
South Carolina.
Greenville, South Carolina. So you have a question for me?
Yeah, I do. So I am one of the co-founders of Bev Labs, and we're a creative development agency. We create voice applications for clients, but we made a product, a side project just for us, something that we're, operating. It's called Where the Truck, and it tells you the location of food trucks near you. It works on both Alexa and Google Home. And so how it works is there's a web-based database where the food truck owners input their daily locations, where they'll be, time, that kind of thing. And then all the user has to do is ask their smart speaker or their device, where the truck, and they hear the results. So what we have here is, a two-sided market relying on the network effect. And so what my question is, what's the most effective way to get the app populated with content? And of course, quickly. So do we offer the service free to the food truck owners so that we can, ramp up quickly? We've got an app that has actual valuable content to the users. And, by free, it could be freemium, give it to them for free for now, come up with some premium features later.
Great.
Or,
I got it.
Just kick revenue down the road. Or do we just say from the get-go, here's the service, you have to pay for it?
Okay, fantastic. Let me summarize a bit here, Elizabeth. You have an agency, which is fantastic because agencies make money and you have a profit margin, typically 20, 30% on what you sell, and you become really smart and you build a really kick-ass team because you're doing all this client work and clients are demanding and annoying and you have to perform for them. So what I find is a lot of the people who come out of the agency spaces, they get incredibly in-depth knowledge and insight into customers, both their customers and their customers' customers, if that makes sense. So Josh Williams, who created GoWalla, which we're investors in, GoWalla, the location-based startup, came out of his agency. And we see this over and over again. So agencies are terrible businesses if you want to create massive wealth, but they're great businesses if you want to make a pretty penny. And so what I mean by that is it's never going to become $1 billion business. You know that because you run an agency. Right. And agencies can become arduous to run because your entire profit margin is based on how much you can charge, which the clients complain about, and how little you can pay your team, which obviously they're going to complain about. So the reason I hated being in any kind of service business and why venture capitalists don't invest in them is because of that natural tension. Your profit margins are constantly getting squeezed by your most talented people demanding raises and your most loyal customers demanding a better price. Now we'll put that on the side. Now you found this interesting insight. Hey, we know how to make voice applications, and here's a perfect example. We want people to say, hey, Alexa, hey, Siri, okay, Google, Are there any food trucks around me? Now, what you've done is very clever. However, as you know, you've limited your audience to people using those devices. So while you're ahead of the curve and people might be interested because of that reason, you've also limited it. But you have the secret weapon. You don't need to make money from this product day one. You are in the luxurious position as this is an experiment for you, which is fantastic. It makes you free and it makes you a dangerous competitor to everybody else out there. So your question was, how do we get to critical mass? Well, it's very simple. Open platforms grow faster than closed ones. Closed ones, you get to pull a lot of profit out of them. Open ones grow fast because everybody feels like they can get a lot out of it. And if they contribute, whatever they give, they're going to get more back. This is why open source software has won so many markets it exists in. As an example, you have people who are working 10, 20 hours a week contributing to Wikipedia, and they don't get paid, but they feel good about it because all of that creation is open to everybody else. They can use it, anybody can use it, nobody owns it. It's done with a Creative Commons license. You can look that up for people who don't know. And then open source software, another great example. People feel great about working on open source projects because they know that whatever they give, they get. And there is a hybrid here where you can create an open source product, like say Android is open source, but then you can provide rules and guide rails that let you make a business out of it. So what I would suggest is you create an open data platform for food trucks. And you come out of the gate and say, we are the Open Food Truck Database, OFD. And the Open Food Truck Database is available for anybody. Anybody can use this data. If Foursquare, Yelp, and others want to use this data, or eventually Google, it's cool. Anybody can use it. So put your data in, create an API, however you want to get data in there, go right ahead. And anybody can pull stuff out. We only ask that you link back and credit Open Food Truck Network or Open, whatever you call it.
OFD.
OFD.
Where the truck.
Right. Where the truck. Where the truck. But you can keep Where the Truck as your brand. This is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. That could be your commercial brand, but the data could be part of the Open Food Truck Network or Open Food Truck Database. Now, everybody feels cool about participating, and you are a beneficiary because you're the people who started the project and you have control of it. So, WordPress is available for free. If you want to go to wordpress.org and contribute and take the software and not pay for it, you can. But most people don't because they just go to wordpress.com. And that will be the same thing that will happen with you. So I would just create an open data platform, tell anybody they can use it, put some endpoints on it as an API, and then let anybody contribute to it. If they, sign up and give them a valid key to put in data and see where it goes. Because people will feel really great about putting the data in if they know anybody can use it. So if they can pull that data and they know, oh, Yelp can use it, this other group can use it, everybody can use it, that's fantastic for you because you're going to build some other applications with it. So it's a neat way to do it. And I think the overarching interesting thing is your team. How many people you got on the team at this consulting firm?
8 to 10, couple contract. But,
Great. So you have 8 full-time
solid.
people working on this. What I suggest is what's the name of the consulting firm?
Bev Labs.
Bev Labs?
Yes. We started, we have our roots in the food and beverage space. We started doing IoT integration. Awesome. So, Bev for food and beverage.
Got it. So Bev Labs, perfect. You should keep learning about these voice assistants on other people's nickels and do these experiments. And if they work, great. If they don't, shut them down. And when you find one that's really breaking out, here's the secret. You email Jason at Calacanis. You say, okay, JCal, remember I called into the podcast? We figured it out. This thing is going to be a unicorn. And then I give you $100,000, 100 dimes, 100 dime skis. You come to the incubator. We get 6% of your company. We syndicate it out. Boom, we introduce a bunch of investors, and we all get rich. Understand?
Sounds like a plan.
Exactly. And then what you do is you shut down the agency, or you pick somebody who in your group who loves the agency and say, you, Mazel Tov, take the agency. It's yours. We just ask that we get 20% of the profits, and you can take 80 for running it. And then you go work on this. So this is your mission.
Okay.
Your first idea is often not your best. Remember that too. So what I want you to do is keep an open mind. Keep pulling that string and learning, because you know what? Everybody's giving up on these voice assistants. Just like they're giving up on building VR experiences because there's no audience there. If everybody gets up and we're in the trough of despair, so when a new technology comes out like voice assistants, you have this hype, then you have the trough of despair where everybody gives up, and then you have the slow climb back to the technology becoming de rigueur, becoming part of our everyday lives. And so you're well on the way. And, don't let people diminish you in any way by doing an agency. The agency is like a free, high-paid education for you. So I love that. I love that you're doing an agency. I love you're refining your skills. I love you're thinking entrepreneurially. Great call, Elizabeth.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason.
All right. I hope you come to Founder University sometime, by the way. If you're in touch with Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, so you should try to get to the next Founder University. Then you and I can meet and high five.
All right. Well, I'll do that.
Okay. It's super expensive. It's $0.0. So start saving your money. Founder.university. Free for founders.
Awesome. Perfect.
All right, Elizabeth. Thanks for calling in. Have you been listening to the show for long, or are you new?
I have.
Oh, really? Got a favorite episode? Favorite guest?
DHH, of course. I love his anti-hustle hustle.
Yeah, the anti-hustle hustle. He's got a point. He's got a point about that.
He's running the long race, not sprinting. He's in it for the long haul.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, for sure. All right.
It is.
Keep calling in, Elizabeth. Thank you for calling.
All right. Bye.
Cheers. Yes, Uber. Team Uber is working hard, and they are moving forward and improving the rider and the driver experience. They're extremely focused, and they now have a new pickup experience. Yes, one way they're doing it is with these new features, and they take the stress out of your pickup. Using pickup notes in the Uber app, you can share a note with your driver on how to spot you, like letting the driver know what color shirt you're wearing, or if you're wearing a baseball hat. You can also choose a color to light up your phone screen. You then hold it up, and that helps your driver more easily locate you at night or in a crowd. Imagine at the airport. So if you pick orange, my favorite color, you hold it up, the driver comes around, boom, they see the orange phone in the air, and they zip, 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 pick you up and get you on your way. These are just some of the great new features that Uber has added to the app. I love the tipping. I am a big tipper, and I like to tip for great service. I also if the service isn't great, I like to give that 3-star review. I don't want to crush anybody. And I like to give that feedback about how to make the ride better. So, that feedback is there, and I think you should use it. And if it's really good, you should consider a tip. And the pickup notes are great. Okay. To find out all the ways Uber is moving forward and see these great improvements, I want you to go to uber.com/moving forward. That's uber.com/moving forward. Again, uber.com/moving forward. Go ahead and visit that and see all the great changes by my friends at Uber. What a great product, what a great service, and what a great company, and it's moving forward. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Okay, let's go to our next caller. Olivia, are you on the line?
Hi, Jason. It's Olivia. How are you?
I'm great. I'm using my call-in radio voice. Where are you calling from, awesome. Olivia?
I'm calling from Lowell, Massachusetts. So it's about 40 minutes from Boston.
From Boston? Great.
Yes.
All right. The Red Sox suck, okay? Sox. I'm a Yankee fan, all right? All right.
But Patriots are great.
Patriots are cheaters, all right? They cheat. They're the biggest cheaters in the league. All right. Enough. What's your question, Olivia?
So I'm currently pursuing a new career in financial industry and interested in entrepreneurship and venture capital. I want to ask you to be my mentor, but first I want to ask, how can I add values to you, and what do you need help with?
Great. Okay. So I am super flattered that you would consider me a mentor, and you have me as a mentor already. All you need to do is read Angel the book, and then it's recently been translated into Japanese. And I'm going to Tokyo the 14th to the 21st for my my victory lap, sold out in Japan. I'm big in Japan. I'm sold out in Japan. They're going to a second printing. And then watching the podcast. I'm too busy to personally mentor you, but the reason I do 100 episodes plus of my podcast, the reason I write my email newsletter, and the reason I write books, and I'm working on the second and third book concurrently right now, the reason I do that is to give you that virtual mentorship. But let's take me out of the equation and let's talk about you. You want to break into the hardest vertical to break into, which is venture capital. Why is it so hard to break into venture capital? Well, most people say, oh, it's an old boys club, and you have to have your fraternity brother, and you had to have gone to Stanford or Harvard and gotten your MBA, and then you get invited into one of these partnerships, and they tend to be all older white dudes who all went to school together. There is truth to this. That's how it used to work. The way venture capital used to work is venture capitalists were finance majors, and they would fund entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs were considered bad venture capitalists. How things have changed. Today, the group of people that venture firms are looking for are operators. So if you are a growth hacker and you helped grow 2 or 3 companies to an IPO or to scale in some way, then a venture firm would be very much interested in having you as a partner. If you have an incredible brand and a network, like say Om Malik, who did GigaOM for a long time, and he writes for the New Yorker, and you're incredibly well respected like he is, then you also, that's another entry point. Those are the 2 that I think are the easiest ones right now. Those are the easiest paths to go. Now, you are from a finance background. You are not a well-known journalist pundit, and you are not a growth hacker from a unicorn, correct?
No.
Got it. So there's 2 strikes. You don't have a fraternity. Do you have a fraternity brother who you played lacrosse with while you were at Stanford getting your MBA?
No.
Okay. I'm being slightly facetious. I didn't go to Stanford. I don't play lacrosse, and I don't have fraternity brothers because I'd never be involved in such nonsense. So we've eliminated the 3 ways I know of that people do it. So let's be creative here. You have a finance background, correct?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Okay. What is your skill set? Do you have a skill set?
I'm good with data analysis, and I've been studying finance on the side.
Okay. And why do you want to be an investor? I'm curious.
Why I want to be an investor?
What's appealing about it to you?
I think because I want to see firsthand, especially it's exciting to see new companies and new ideas, and I want to be firsthand to just be in that space.
Great. So this is a great reason. You're passionate about entrepreneurships and technology. That is an incredibly valid reason. Now, the problem is you don't have a skill set that is desired by the venture capital firms, which have highly skilled people fighting it out for those positions. You have to understand, even though people told you in life, I'm sure, that everybody's a winner and everybody can win, and you may have gotten a participation trophy, I am here to tell you the God's honest truth. It is a zero-sum game. There's only so many seats on the bus. And when the seats get filled, the bus takes off. And let's face it, you didn't do growth at Twitter or Uber. You didn't write for the New Yorker like Om Malik, and you weren't the editor-in-chief of a publication of technology with a huge Rolodex, and you command 1 million followers on Twitter. Nor did you play lacrosse at Harvard and get your MBA and have a bunch of fraternity brothers and dudes and bras who can get you in because they're friends with you. And that's what bras do. I'm not part of the bruh crowd. So I'm going to get creative with you here. I'm going to give you a hack.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I've told you up to now, do you understand that to be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So you are not delusional, correct?
No, I hope not.
Great. So we're on the same page here. I'm going to give you 2 hacks. And you can choose to try them or not. And if you try them, I would be very interested in having you call back in 6 months and telling us if they worked. Hack number 1 is you join every single angel list, seed invest, Jason syndicate you can. Are you an accredited investor by chance? An accredited No. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult because you can't make a bunch of small investments except when you're on Seed Invest and Republic. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to follow everything going on Seed, Invest, and Republic. And then I want you to make the smallest investment they allow in a couple of companies. It's probably $100 or $250 or $500. Now you will be an actual angel investor in 5 to 10 companies. After you do that, and let's say it's $500 per company, and if that's not the minimum, you can beg them to let you break the minimum, right? Now for $2,500, you could then go and tell everybody you're an angel investor and a consultant to startups to help them raise money, and you have 5 investments under your belt, and then you can try to be helpful to those companies. Now, this takes a lot of hustle. You're not going to get paid for it. Boo-hoo, wah. But if you want to try to make your way and hack your way into something, you're going to have to put the effort in. So here's one way to do it, is put that effort in. The other way is you can tell folks that you are a venture consultant and that you like to work with early stage startups to help them identify investor targets, help them refine their deck, help them meet those investors, and you can start to build a Rolodex, and you can fake it till you make it. And you can just say, listen, I know the 25 investors around the Boston area who are doing early stage investments, and I will help you write the emails, refine your deck, understand who to contact, and you just do free work for people. And that's what I did early in my career. I did a bunch of spec work where I just tried to get something going in my life. And if you're trying to do something incredibly hard, like kick the door down and get into venture capital, you're going to have to find some non-traditional ways. So there's 2 for you. One is become a micro angel where you're putting in $250, $500 into 5 to 10 deals, and you go work your butt off for those founders. And you have coffee with them, you stay positive, and you hear them out, and you try to figure out how to help them. Or part 2, you then go help them as a venture consultant or a seed investing consultant, and you just get cards printed up. I'm a seed stage consultant. My services are free up until you raise a round. If you raise a round, I just ask that you pay me a retainer of $1,000 a month. If I help you raise a round, it's optional. You can pay me afterwards $1,000 a month to be your ongoing investing consultant, and see if you can get a couple of gigs. Maybe you help somebody raise $500,000 or $1 million. They give you $50,000 as a consultant for the next year to help them raise the next $1.5 million. And you could just fake it till you make it. That's my advice. Is that decent advice for you?
Oh, it's pretty awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, Olivia. I like the fact that you're brave and you want to break in and do something new, and that you don't care if the traditional channels are not open to you. That's what I did. Trust me, people did not want me in this industry. I kicked my way in. I literally kicked the door down and said, I'm here.
Yes, I will try.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. It works. Trust me, I built a career on it. Yes, LinkedIn jobs. I love LinkedIn. I've been spending a ton of time on LinkedIn. I love the new feed, by the way, where you can share information and see what your friends are up to. But putting aside their amazing new feed, that's highly addictive, I want to talk today about hiring. We all know that hiring is hard. We have many open positions here, and it takes us months to find high-quality candidates. And you know that your business is only as strong as the people you have working for you, like Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie and Jason DeMont, who runs the incubator. We have all these great people here. Well, where are those great people? They're on LinkedIn. It's the world's largest professional network, and it's the best way to find great talent. All that talent is sitting there ready and waiting. Yes, 70% of the U.S. workforce is already on LinkedIn. And if you're hearing my voice, you have a LinkedIn page. I know you do. And that means you also know that you're going to find quality candidates on LinkedIn. Businesses rate LinkedIn jobs 40% higher than job boards at delivering quality candidates. And you know why this is. It's because it's the world's largest professional network. So just ask the hundreds of thousands, yes, hundreds of thousands of businesses that have posted to LinkedIn jobs over the past year. 22 million professionals, and this is the amazing number, view and apply to jobs on LinkedIn every week. I'm not saying 22 million people log on to LinkedIn every week. That would be an amazing number in and of itself. No, 22 million people look at the jobs and apply to the jobs on LinkedIn every week. And that's in every industry. So if you're not using LinkedIn for your hiring needs, you are missing out. Here's your call to action, and this is a good one. I want you to go to linkedin.com/twist, linkedin.com/TWIST. When you go there, you're going to get a $50 credit towards your first job posting. Think about that. $50 is sitting there waiting for you. So I want you to pull over. I want you to get in front of your computer. I want you to get offline at Blue Bottle or wherever you're having your espresso and go to linkedin.com/twist. linkedin.com/twist and get that $50 credit. Terms and conditions apply, of course, like any of these things. And I can tell you, we've had an incredible run finding highly talented people on LinkedIn and using LinkedIn Jobs. So get that $50 and give it a shot. Let me know how it goes for you. LinkedIn.com/twist. Hey, and go follow me. Add me as a contact on LinkedIn. You can find me, Jason Calacanis. I'm right there. And you'll see how often I'm on there. I'm posting clips from the show. I'm asking questions. LinkedIn is just on fire. So go ahead and go to linkedin.com/twist for your $50 credit today. All right, let's get back to this amazing episode. Okay, next up on the call-ins is... Oh, we're going to do the Skype call? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Skype right now. Tell me, what is your name?
My name is Bogdan Andreev, and first of all, and my question and I want to discuss social media, and I want to ask you a question. What is the main beef that people have, the main issue that people have with social media, and then discuss it. And as you said to the previous caller, you have to break into the industry. I want to ask you a question. I've applied with Valid Book to Open Book Challenge, and I was rejected, but I want to break in, and maybe I will be able to convince you or move into that direction.
Okay. So let's start with your first question. Social media, God, there's so many issues that people currently have. By the way, where are you calling from, Bogdan?
Probably you feel it from my accent. I'm calling from Ukraine.
Oh, great.
Yep.
All right, Ukraine. This is our first caller from the Ukraine. So the issues people have with social media right now, depending on the platform. On Twitter, the main issue people have is harassment. People are being harassed on Twitter because Twitter allows anonymous accounts, and because Twitter allows anybody to post underneath somebody else's tweet or comment. So when you make a post on Twitter, I can create 50 troll accounts. And if you were Leslie Jones, the Saturday Night Live actress who is being trolled by Milo Yiannopoulos' crazy fan base will then create 50 troll accounts that are anonymous, and they will say horrible things to her. And that is fundamentally how Twitter works. So if you change that, you would break what's unique about Twitter. Not the harassment part, but that anybody can talk to anybody. That is what drew people to Twitter, is that you could reply to Elon Musk or to President Obama or candidate Obama back in the day, 10 years ago, and they might reply. You can at Jason and I might reply, and I'm definitely going to see it. So that is, or in my case, I may or may not see it because I have sometimes too many replies to get through. But that is the magic of Twitter. Now, if you go onto Facebook, the problem people have with Facebook is privacy and people having their data sold and compromised, which most people would consider a soft issue because unless something very specific like, I don't know, your photos were hacked or, you know, what websites you were visiting or the fact that you're on a certain medication was shared, it's kind of a soft issue for most people, privacy. Now, people in Europe want to have privacy built in, so they've created very high privacy bars. And Facebook has always gone right to the edge of what the laws are and probably gone over the edge. So those are the things that most people would say with those two platforms are the problems. Privacy for Facebook, harassment on Twitter, and that overall there's an overarching issue is this good for us? And the fact is, it creates a lot of anxiety for most people, these social networks. And if you overuse them and it becomes your life, all of a sudden you're going to wake up one day and you're going to have lost 2 or 3 hours a day to this stupidity. And that's 2 or 3 hours a day you could be spending with your family, your friends, working out, reading books, adding skills, or running a company. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but actually I think you are missing the main point with the issue that people have with social media.
Okay, tell me.
Actually, I think that the real issue that people have with social media is increased level of social comparison. or simply put, increased level of envy. Because Facebook, I mean, here I'm talking mostly about Facebook. Facebook entice envy spirals, and Instagram also.
Yeah.
This is how they drive engagement.
So you're saying the FOMA and people's desire to show off their lifestyle on Instagram is an issue people have.
Yeah, so this is the issue is not the desire of people, it's not the nature of human. The issue is that advertising based business model makes Facebook drive engagement through enticing envy spirals. So if
you're using the term, what is the term you're using? Envy spirals?
Envy spirals, right.
Like I envy you and then I spiral out of control?
No. So it means that, let's say, you post something that, like great pictures from your vacation.
Yep.
I'm envious of you. I post my vacations.
Got it.
Then you look at me and and my vacation's even better. You look at me and you think, oh, you see. Those spirals go on in communities, and these social media, by using what I call monolithic social profiles, they encourage these envy spirals. And that's what actually people have issue with. They do not care really about privacy. They do not care really about leakage of their data. What they care is envy. And because envy is
I would say some people probably are annoyed by that, and some people are addicted to sharing tons of photos of themselves. So oversharing, and yes, this conspicuous consumption might be annoying. I don't know if it's the biggest problem, and I would disagree that people don't see privacy as a problem. Obviously, many people see privacy as a problem. That's why Facebook has had such a hard time of it, and that's why the government is intervening when it comes to privacy. But anyway, what's your solution to this? Do you have a solution to this envy spiral?
I have.
Okay, tell me what it is, because I think it's a soft problem, but go ahead.
Yeah, but just one minute thing. It's not a soft problem because envy is a taboo and subconscious feeling. So people do not really register envy. They think
so. It's unconscious.
So
what's your solution?
They feel irritated or furious. They do not.
We get it. Come on, get to the point. What is your solution?
So my solution is better design. It's a compartmentalized social profiles. So it's a combination of Facebook with Pinterest. So on Facebook, right now you have only one profile, and you cannot really talk about different things on your profile. So you will feel strange if you begin to talk about, I don't know, what is your hobby, let's say, scooters, right now. So if you go into scooters and you start to talk about them a lot, you will be a strange person, a nerd. So, but if you would have a lot of pages, like you have boards on Pinterest, you would be able to talk about this, and people would be able to follow you. So it can be done. It's hard to explain.
All right. So let me explain to you what's happening here. You are an intelligent person, clearly. And you perceive this as a problem. So, is it actually a big problem for people? We don't know. It may or it may not be. And we can sit here and we can debate it all day long. But the best way to figure out if that is a true problem is to
build it.
Is to build it and to test it. Because not only in startups do you have to identify a problem, you actually have to create a solution. So there's two pieces here. You could create an amazingly elegant, refined solution to a problem that is non-existent or minor or not differentiated enough to get people to leave the current service they're using. And so that's where I feel you are. Right now, I feel like you're in this, what we call at our incubator, the triangulation kind of phase, where you're trying to figure out, you have a hunch. Okay, there's something going on here.
I agree.
And now what you have to do is figure out a group of people who want to create multiple profiles or, multiple views of the world. It is interesting that I do get people who are like, I want to hear only from Jason when Jason is talking about startups. I don't want to hear him talk about politics. Or I have people who are like, I would love to hear you talk more about politics, but not this. And so that is something where if you could have on your Twitter profile, I want to follow Jason, but I want to follow Jason when he talks about A and B, but not C. There might be some people who want to take that extra step of customizing what they follow, but it does become arduous because then everybody, instead of just following somebody, has to make a second level decision. But you should test it.
No, it will be done algorithmically, automatically. But it's not the main point. The main point that envious feelings are going to be less when people will be able to share more. But just to close, I have maybe two more questions, if I may.
Quickly.
One question.
I'll give you one, and you have to be quick because you know what?
All right.
You're not very quick.
How is it going? And second one, if you have such a great problem, such multifaceted problem as finding alternative to Facebook, and to understand the solution is a big job, How can I explain it to you if it will not take 10 decks. It will take 1 hour, to show you this solution and.
Okay, I got it. So here's how it works. When people have a bunch of ideas like you, but they haven't executed, they always want to get important people's times to convince them with words that they should back them. And I can tell you that you will not convince me with your words. If I give you 1 hour or 10 hours, there is no amount of hours where you will convince this angel investor, Jason Calacanis, to give you money and give you the green light and give you my blessing and a high five. Because I make my decision by looking at the product you built and looking for product excellence. And then that's not enough. Then I look at your team. How good is the team, your early team? And that's not enough. Then I look at your traction and I try to see what the early data shows. So if you're talking to different angel investors or early stage investors, you have to know your audience. The audience of Jason Calacanis, if you're going after that angel, and I'm but one of thousands of angels in the world, I'm looking at the quality of the product and the quality of the traction, and then maybe a little bit about your team, although I like to bet on underdog outsider teams who have great product with great traction. So your only hope is not to beg me for my time. It's to build an incredibly elegant, gorgeous product that when I look at it and you send me that link, I go, oh boy, this is incredible. That's it.
I actually built it.
I know, but is it elegant and amazing? If it is, you would have heard from me. That's all I can tell you. I got you. Keep working and get some traction, kid, okay? The world is filled with idea people. You may have great ideas, but you get zero credit for that. And then number 2, you get partial credit for building a good product. You get full credit for building an exceptional product. And you get the most credit for having some early traction. Focus on that. The world has changed, my friend. It used to be 10 years ago, you could show up with a product and no data and no traction and get funded. That's not 2018. Too many startups with traction. So you are in a competitive landscape. And in the openbookchallenge.com, we had 400 people, I think, apply. And we picked the top 20. You were not in it? That's okay. Keep grinding. Again, I am but one of thousands of investors available to you. You need to listen to what I'm saying. Get traction. Okay. Great talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers now. Bye. All right. That was a little bit difficult, but as I told everybody, if you want to do the call-in, understand, and I mean this with peace and love, I'm telling you that I'm going to give you the red pill. I'm going to be honest with you at all times. And the reason you tune into this program is because I'm honest with people. I love domain names. You know that because I own inside.com and launch.co, and I own calacanis.com, obviously, but I also own aday.com. I had 20.com for a while and sold that for $2 million. I love domain names. Great domain names are awesome. They speak volumes for your brand, and you need to buy domain names in a very simple, quick, and easy way. I hate most of those domain registrars out there because they're constantly confusing me and they're not clean and not simple. Hover.com is an amazing way for you to quickly and easily register your domain name. Here we are, my team registering the domain name launchpartnerships.co. And what's great about it is you can one-click buy, look at this, proceed to checkout, and we can have Who is Privacy for free. Who is Privacy is super important so you don't start getting spam. And you all have experiences. You register a domain name, you start getting flooded with spam. A lot of those other domain registrars, in fact, all of them are charging you to do privacy. Nope, they do it for free. And I want you to go to hover.com/twist, hover.com/twist, like hovercraft, and you will get 10% off your first purchase. And what's great about their product is it easily allows you to connect those domain names, as you can see here, to any website, whether you're using Squarespace or Wistia or Tumblr, whatever you're using. They're going to make it super easy, and they have best-in-class customer support. And they personalize your email with your domain name, and they have over 400 domain name extensions to choose from, including all the classes, but fun niche extensions. It is an amazing product. So here is your call to action. Go to hover.com/twist, 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 and get 10% off your first purchase. It's elegant, it's simple, it's clean. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and that's what you're looking for in a product. It's a great product. Go check out hover.com/twist. Let's take another phone call.
Hey, Jason, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Is this Mary? I'm joking. Who is this?
This is Christopher Peterson.
Hey, Christopher.
I'm an indie developer and a solo entrepreneur from Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
I have a Delaware C corporation that I'd like to shut down. It's it's just costing me too much money to operate it.
Yep.
I want to continue on as a sole proprietor. My question is, should I pay the $600 or so to shut it down properly, or should I just abandon it and keep my $600 and spend it on my server costs?
That's a great question. There are two ways to do this. You can abandon it. I've heard of people doing that. And then I've heard of people dissolving it. And I'm not going to give perfect legal advice here. But I do think that dissolving it, if you have investors, is obviously the right way to go. Because that makes it clean. And when you dissolve it and you get that certificate, then everybody can take the loss if you have investors. So that's why investors are like, listen, I don't mind if you fail, but close up shop properly so we can all take the loss on our taxes, right? So if I invest
I don't have any,
and you don't have any investors.
I have one former friend who owns, I don't know, 1% or something. So
as long as that person is cool with it and you don't want to do that, I think you could do the abandon thing. I would do some research. I'm assuming you've done some research on the abandoning thing.
A little bit. My only worry is if, in 5 years from now, I create something that somebody wants to fund, is that going to look bad when they go on the Delaware C corp registry search and they see my name and that I have a former C corp that I abandoned? Is that going to look bad?
I don't think so. I know we've never looked at that in our diligence. What we're looking for in diligence, just so you know, for folks who don't know what due diligence is, when an investor, especially the more sophisticated ones, are going to invest, they'll be like, okay, here's the terms under which we want to invest. Sometimes that will come in a term sheet. Sometimes it will just come in an email. Hey, we're interested in investing $500,000 at a $5 million cap. So we're going to get roughly 10% of the business here. And that's pending due diligence. So send us your data room and we'll get going. So they're going to look at your bank statements. They're going to look at your Google Analytics or iTunes or Stripe account, wherever your money and or transactions are occurring. They're going to want to see that. And they might do a background check on you to see if you have a felonious background. And that is something to keep in mind. But I don't think they're going to look for this. I've never looked for that. I don't think it's a scarlet letter or anything like that. I think you'll be fine.
Okay, thanks for answering my question. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you've been listening to the show for a while, or you're new?
I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener.
Oh, hey, first-time caller, long-time listener. That's great. All right, good luck with your entrepreneurial efforts, and make sure that when you get traction, and this is going up and to the right, you remember to email jason@calacanis.com. All right,
I will, Jason.
All right, have a great weekend. All right, let's take another phone call.
Hey, Jason, it's Mary Haggerty.
Hey, Mary, how are you? Superfan
I'm
Mary.
Good. How are you?
I'm going to call you Superfan Mary.
Superfan, excellent.
Yes.
I see you have a new format call-in now.
Yes, I'm trying to do some call-ins here, and I'm trying to build a community of like-minded people into entrepreneurship and technology.
That's great.
You have a question for me today, or just want to shoot the shit?
Sure, yeah.
So, what are you doing this weekend?
I'm calling you.
Okay, great,
It's-
perfect. Oh,
yeah,
I thought we were going to
it's
shoot
Friday
the
night,
ish.
and I'm calling you.
Exactly, perfect. Perfect Friday night.
So my business, Yes Love Weddings, we've built a really great team of 4 people. And now we're going on, we're going to be hiring more people with specialized skills or looking to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
So we've recently incorporated and we've set aside, stock incentives for employees. I also let my employees work on a flexible schedule. But what else can we do? What other things can we put in place so we can make sure we can attract and hire the best talent here?
Okay, these are great questions. Let's work backwards. So number one, you figured out one of the great secrets. Highly talented people, and I just pulled up Yes Love Weddings. I believe it's yesloveweddings.com, correct?
Well, the new site's at a different location.
Okay. Well, I'm showing the old one right now. People can see it if you pull up.
No, that's the old one.
Okay. What's the new website? Is it / something? I can pull it up.
yes-love.com.
Oh, okay. You got the dash in there. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
Yes, love. Yes-love.com. All right. Yeah, you can fake it till you make it. You'll get Yes Love at some point. Okay, here we go. So I got it on the screen.
Yeah, somebody has it. Yeah.
So let me start by saying, one, new site looks great.
Thank you.
And what you've realized is that talented people are motivated not just by money. A lot of talented people have something other than money that might be driving them. So it can be different by person, but one of the things that people value is their families. And so I know that my friend Dave Goldberg, rest in peace, who was running SurveyMonkey, he told me that he was specifically, while in Silicon Valley, hiring people and telling them, one of our core principles is that family is the most important thing and that we are a family here. And that if you need to pick up your kids from school or take them, or they're sick and take them to the doctor, that comes first. SurveyMonkey will be fine, and your coworkers will step up and pick up the slack for you while you're taking care of your family. And we trust you that you're not going to abuse this privilege, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. And that he believed that he could build a company where people didn't have to, they weren't judged by what time they left, 10, 11, or 12 p.m. And he had this great success. And he told me, it's amazing. We're getting all these people who don't want to work at Facebook or don't want to work at Uber or don't want to work at Google because they feel they're being judged on a different criteria. So that's great. You found that insight. Now, that does not apply to all people. Some people, they may want to work long hours. So, and they may be driven that way. But what might drive them is some type of exciting culture things that happen at work. So it can be a little weird if somebody's getting all of their gratification in life from work, but I can tell you that when we did our scuba diving trip after we did Launch Festival Sydney, it became this incredible bonding experience for my team. And I found that the team was super high functioning after it. And my initial reason for doing this $30,000 scuba diving trip where I rented a boat and I was going to have 8 of the speakers come. So I was like, all right, 8 speakers, whatever. I'm dropping 3-4 dimes per. Well, that would be their speaking fee anyway. So I'll just get all these speakers to come to Sydney by offering them the chance to go scuba diving with me on the Great Barrier Reef. It turned out only one of the speakers wanted to do it. Everybody else canceled. So I took the team because I had the boat rented anyway. And so now I've started thinking, what bucket list item? This is my own personal one. What bucket list item can I provide to my team that would then make them be stoked about working for me? So I was like, well, going on safari in Africa, jumping out of a plane, which I don't really want to do that one. But there's a bunch of stuff like that where you could say, that's a bucket list item. Gosh, that would be incredible to do that. So that's what I'm working on right now. The other thing is remote team. So there's a large number of people who want to work remote and they want to make their own hours and they're super effective. So I think you're a bootstrap startup, I know.
Yep.
You can be super efficient this way, which you just tell people, like, listen, we're not the highest paying gig in the world. We're a scrappy startup and you own that. Yes Love Weddings is a scrappy startup where we've got a little bit of revenue, we got some great product market fit, but we got a lot of passion for what we're doing. So we hire people who are passionate and who want to set their own hours, work on a project basis, and GSD, we want to get stuff done. Now, what's important is when you define that culture is that you actually define it. Because if you don't define it, then people can run amok. So I don't have a work from home policy at my companies, launch specifically, but I will let people work from home if they're a high performer, et cetera, once in a while if they ask me to. That might be your default. Hey, work from home, we don't care. I like having everybody in the office to sort of bond and stuff like that. So when you are defining your culture, it's important that you take the step to define it, and you can codify that in principles. So you can have a mission. Our mission at Yes Love Weddings is to take the stress out of weddings and save people money, whatever it is, right? To make it, the best day possible for any budget. You pick what you want that mission statement to be. That's outward looking. But your core principles of how you deliver the mission, that's the internal stuff. So let me say that again. You can have a mission statement, like our mission statement is at launch to support founders and inspire innovation. Now, we have some principles internally, like we never underestimate anyone, because we've seen entrepreneurs like yourself could be grinding it out for 3 or 4 years, and then they all of a sudden figure it out. We don't want to be dismissive of anybody, and I hope you've been to a bunch of our events that we've always cherished all of the founders who come. We don't underestimate them, and we try to help them. So that's the other kind of internal thing is we're hardworking and we take responsibility at our company. So just make sure that you define those internal things and you share them, and that people understand this is the mission, but these are the guiding principles of working here. And then people can opt in or opt out. Now, if you already have 5 or 10 people, that's a little bit of an issue because they may not buy into the principles. And now you as the founder have to say, I know we did not have principles and I never said the mission before. My bad. Now I'm going to implement them. And by the way, if you're not on board for these, speak up. We can discuss it. But at the end of the day, when we do codify them and they are written down, everybody's going to have to live up to those principles. So if you don't, want to, whatever principle it is that you don't underestimate anybody, you want to underestimate people and only deal with the best people, there's a different company out there for you. So you got to be a strong leader that way. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Do you have any tips on finding a remote team? Like finding people, like looking everywhere?
Yes.
How do you start looking everywhere?
Yes. Okay. This is a great question. So I'll give you a couple of hacks. I had a portfolio company, and they were trying to figure out, they were in New York. They knew that salespeople in New York would cost, let's call it $50K base to $100K base, and the expectation of full comp would be $75,000 to $200,000, depending on if they hit it out of the park or not. Because New York is an expensive town. Here in Silicon Valley, if you want to hire salespeople, you're probably talking about $75,000 to $150K base, and then another $75,000 to $150K on top of that, total comp $250,000, maybe $500,000 some people want to make. And it's bonkers here. So what this company did was they ran a bunch of ads saying they were looking for salespeople in a certain town. And we're talking about having 20, 30 salespeople. So they're going to do a sales remote office. So they went to Utah, Salt Lake City, whatever. They went to Colorado. Okay. They went to Phoenix, Arizona. They went to Austin, Texas. They rented a conference room for 2 days in a hotel. Okay. And they told everybody, they brought their HR team, they brought the COO, they brought the director of sales, they brought the CEO and the co-founders. And they said, we're going to go to 4 cities. We're going to spend 2 or 3 days in each, and we're going to book 20 interviews. They booked all the interviews. They rated everybody. They looked at their salary expectations, and then they just saw where the demand was and where they got the most responses and where they got the highest quality candidates who wanted to work for them, and they picked one of those cities. Now, you may not need to do that full of a process, but the equivalent for you would be... The equivalent for you would be, I thought that was like a really super clever hack for the cost of a conference room in 2 days. And they probably spent a total of, I don't know, call it $5,000 going to each city. After $20,000, they figured out where those people were. And when they finally did pick that city, they already had their first 10 hires. So it was like, whoa, this is a super smart hacking founder. And that's what founders who are scrappy like yourself do. They figure out what I call the lazy way. What is the least amount of effort to get the maximum result? So the least amount of effort to pick a city is not to go hire some consultant. You just want to see, go and interview the people there. And they were candid with people after they came in. Yeah, we're thinking about putting an office here, having remote, or maybe in some other cities. So they got all this great feedback from people.
Yep.
For you, what I would suggest is you pick 3 markets where you think a lot of, if you were looking for wedding people, et cetera, or that's an easy jaunt from you, and you put ads out and you see who comes in. And then once you get one, take a chance. Have one person in Toronto, one person in Austin, one person in South Carolina. And then once you have them there, you can say to them, hey, are you interested in starting our office in Toronto? So as an example, I had a super fan who used to call into the show or watch the show, and then he would come to our events on his own nickel. And he was so good at marketing that I hired him. And now he's in Toronto. I said, set up an office and hire 3 more people, because in Toronto, when we post a $40,000 a year Canadian job, or you do this in any Quebec, you could do this you could do it in Vancouver. You put a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 job in one of those cities, you might get hundreds of resumes. And then if you do it in San Francisco, you get hundreds of people telling you, go F yourself. How's anybody going to live on $40,000 a year? And then you add to it that in Canada, $40K Canadian is $32K US, or $50K is $40K, whatever it is. I think it's 25% difference or a third. You get that savings. So I think the high art is finding places, going to where the talent is, doing the arbitrage for where salaries are more reasonable. Where are you based again?
I'm in South Carolina.
That's a pretty reasonable place, right? So
yes, the cost of living is really reasonable.
Yeah. So that's a fantastic asset you have. And then the disadvantage you have is there's no investors there, or there's very few.
Right.
So,
correct.
Eventually if this thing starts to become venture scale and, you start having incredibly high margins, 80% gross margins, and it looks like it could get to 100 million in revenue with 50, 60, 70% margins. And it could do that in a violent, unhealthy 7-year stretch, right? Like unnatural growth, which is what venture capitalists are looking for, candidly. I'm an angel investor, to be clear, but venture capitalists, I know, they're looking for unhealthy, unreasonable growth. If you feel you can get on that track, then maybe you open your corporate office here and you spend time here and you keep your team remote where they are. But great questions and continued success.
Well, thank you. That's
pleasure.
Really helpful.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, and I'm sure I'll see you at one of our events. Thanks for calling.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You will.
All right. Everybody go check out yes-love.com. And we'll, okay, let's take another call.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm good. Who's on the line?
It's Ali Zaidi from Chicago.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Great job on the show.
Thank you.
One of my favorite episodes are with you, Chris Sacca,
classic.
And you with Travis Kalanick.
Another classic.
Yeah, the great guys, and the shows were always very informative. So mine is a 2-part question. So I have a personal safety app, and it's called Zeus Alert, and we've saved hundreds of lives. I think personal safety is one of the biggest problems in the world, especially nowadays, with law enforcement and civilians not looking eye to eye. And so I think the hardest part for me being in Chicago, for us being in Chicago, is raising funding. Because everyone that I speak to, they say you have to be in the Valley, and it's not easy. So, is there any advice you can give me on how I can network? Within 3 months, we grew up to 18,000 users of launch. So far, so good.
Great.
And now it's time to just scale up.
Okay.
And so, any advice for that?
I do have advice for you. Okay. So you could meet all of the investors in Chicago in 2 weeks if you met with 10 a day. There are no more than 100 investors there. So when you're in a secondary market to, say, the Valley, in terms of the density of investors, you have to understand that the price you will pay is there's a smaller pool of investors, as you're saying, and they may not be as risk-taking. People here in Silicon Valley have had such outlier success that they don't mind losing 50K or 100K on 10 investments, whereas somebody in Chicago or Boston or New York, They might get rattled by losing 10 investments of $100,000 and losing $1 million. I'm not rattled by losing $1 million. If I lose $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, that's the price of me making, $100 million on the next Uber, or, $10 or $20 million on com.com or Robinhood. I understand the game. But in those areas, they don't have Ubers. They have a Groupon once in a while. And so that's the nature of the market you're in, which means you have to perform double, at least in terms of performance, as your contemporaries here in Silicon Valley. Because in Silicon Valley, you could meet with 10 investors a day for a year, and you would only have met with half of the investors. Again, 10 investors a day, 3,000 or 4,000 in a year. If you did that every day of your life, taking no days off, Saturday and Sundays, holidays included, if you could get people to meet, 10 a day, 1-hour meetings, back to back, you would never be able to meet enough people, because every time a company goes public here, or anybody makes money from a company going public or getting acquired, you get a bunch of new angel investors. You get a bunch of new micro VCs and seed funds. So you are going to have to perform twice as much. The reason you're going to have a hard time is because you're doing a new category of app. These apps, I'm an investor in a company called Guardian Circle. There's Citizen out here that just received some investment. I've been talking to another company. There's no business model. Consumers may not be willing to pay for security apps, although that may change. People may see value in it. So you have chosen to change user behavior by having a safety or security app, and it's unknown if that will ever become a business. So you might get 18,000 people to use it, but you might need to show a 5% week over week growth for 10 weeks to get a meeting. And then to get investment, you might need to show that you figured out the business model. So the price you pay for being in Chicago, you're required to have twice the performance. The price you pay for doing a new category that requires a change in behavior and doesn't have an easy layup, clear path to revenue, to obscene revenue with pricing power, is that now you've made it another hurdle. So you have double hurdles, which means you've got to work 4 times harder. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. I have to work hard on my startup. No, but the truth is,
man, it's all passion, right?
How do you make money with Zeus Alert? How does the Zeus Alert app make money? Let's get to the heart of the matter. Because if you were printing money, then you would be fending off investors, even if you're in Chicago. Trust me, when Groupon was printing money, VCs were getting on a plane. When right. Magic Leap had something that people thought Apple would buy for $10 billion or Facebook would buy for $10 billion, just like Oculus got bought for $2 billion. Trust me, VCs, made their way down to Orlando or wherever the heck Magic Leap is and threw money at them. So what is the business model of Zeus Alerts as we wrap up here?
Well, the business model. So when we think of personal safety, right, we think globally, right? So we want to not only have people help people out by connecting them, but we also want to provide, security for universities, for malls. Maybe have Zeus Alert operate as Uber for law enforcement. Someone taps the button, they get the address, they come.
Okay.
So I mean, there's some. Yeah, go on.
So the problem you have is you have a consumer product that has some value, not tremendous, but some. And the problem with it is it's one of these things where it's like shark repellent. Like if after I get attacked by a shark, yeah, I'm going to start thinking about shark repellent. But if I'm going swimming at the beach, I'm not really thinking about sharks, hopefully, unless I'm paranoid. So it's like one of these things that people think about after the fact. What I do like about how you're thinking is you're starting to think about enterprise customers and what kind of system they might want to have. So I would follow that path because that's a clear shot on revenue. So if you could figure out, hey, we're going to create an app that all students on campus or all employees on campus have to report an incident immediately with one touch of a button and alert security and to take a picture or start a lockdown situation, maybe there's some opportunity to monetize that to lower crime and do security. But it's a very challenging space you've chosen. So you're going to need to either be incredibly frugal and build something to incredible, I'm talking about millions of users, hundreds of thousands of daily users, millions of active users every month. You have to build that consumer product and then hope that there's some something that emerges as a revenue model, but that is like, that's like running in the desert and hoping you reach a town and not the middle of the desert and you're going to die, right? Like, you don't want to go 100 miles into the middle of the desert and find out, oh yeah, there's only hundreds of miles around of desert. And that's what a lot of founders do. So I like to have a little bit more of a plan. Hey, we're going to try to hit this many users, and then we're going to try this revenue experiment. We're going to try this revenue experiment. You're going to need to do some revenue experiments or go the enterprise route. And that's a really easy thing to do, which is you create a landing page that describes, create a landing page that describes your enterprise product, then find the chief security officers of 100 different places, send them a link and say, we built a security product. You don't have to have built it. We wanted to show it to you. Would you be open to taking a meeting? I'm going to be in your area next week. And you send that same email to 100 people independent of you being able to be there, and just see how many open the email with email tracking and see how many reply to you. If 100 people open it and nobody replies, okay, you probably got a dog. They're not interested. If 100 people open it and 50 reply, oh, wait a second, and you get 20 meetings, now you did a very powerful test. So stop what you're doing. Don't run into the middle of the desert and die of exhaustion and lack of provisions. Let's have a better plan for your startup. Let's have a plan for Zeus Alert. You're going to test 3 different markets with 3 different landing pages, with 3 different experiments to figure out if there is a market with some other signal. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
All right, my friend. I want to invite you to come to founder.university. You have Jackie's email. You earned your spot. Congratulations. You're coming to Founder University for free. It's on me, okay, kid? But I'm not paying for your hotel or your Airbnb, so don't get crazy.
Of course. Yeah, no, I was at launch scale, man. So you're doing an incredible job.
I agree. And don't get enough credit for it. I'm doing an incredible job, aren't I? I'm kidding.
You are.
No, people.
But you are.
I agree. Yes, I was being serious and then I'm being facetious. But let's get back to serious. Let's talk about what an incredible job we're doing here. No, I'm joking. What you have to realize, and what everybody who's listening should realize, this podcast I love doing because I love to talk, and I'm a high extrovert, and I like having conversations with smart people. But the truth behind this podcast is, it's the top of the funnel for launch. The top of the funnel is the podcast and the books. Then hopefully we give great advice to people and they come to Founder University. Hopefully they have a great experience at Founder University, and then they come to the incubator and we give them $100,000, 100 dime skis. And then hopefully after we give them the 100 dime skis, they get traction and we could put in $1 million. That's $1 million. Put in $1 million and buy 10, 20% of the company. And then we all get rich together. Okay.
Can I add something, Jason?
Yes, you can. You've been an excellent caller.
I just want to tell people, my experience with launch scale. I mean, there's so many out there, and you basically have to pay a shitload of money for it. But launch scale, I think it's one of the best. I went there, and the feedback that you get for your startup is amazing. When I went there with Zeus Alert, people pointed to my UI, UX, make it more easier, user friendly. I went back to Chicago. I changed everything, and now I'm doing 18,000 users right now within 3 months. So
you made my day. You made my day. Honestly, you made my day, because you know what? We do it because when I was coming up in the industry, I was just like you. I couldn't afford jack shit, and I couldn't get into any of these events. So I would lobby crash, and I would dream about what would it be like to be in the room where it happens. And nobody would let me in the room until finally I was so annoying to people that Esther Dyson and Tim O'Reilly would give me a free ticket. They'd be like, here, kid, don't tell anybody we gave you a free pass, but you're really annoying us by sitting in the lobby and interrupting every speaker, because every speaker would walk in and I'd be like, oh, Mr. Gates. Like, literally, I stopped Bill Gates. I'm like, Mr. Bill Gates, can I talk to you? And he's like, about what? But I would do that at every event, literally stop every speaker like an idiot and try to sell them on me. But I didn't even have anything I was selling. It was dopey, but I was enthusiastic. And you know what? As I always say, never underestimate anybody. I was underestimated, and boy, oh God, revenge is so sweet. I literally have people who were real jerks to me, and now they're like, oh, hey, J. Cal, I'm in San Francisco. I knew you back in the AOL days, or I knew you back in the Silicon Reporter days. And I'm like, yeah, and I remember. And you were a jerk to me. And then you know what I do? I don't even tell them that. I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that person was a jerk to me? Oh, yeah? Now, you know what? Success. That is the best revenge. Be successful. All right, listen, this has been an amazing episode. I love when you people call in. I love the fact that you get value from the show. It makes me want to show up every day for work and take your calls. These were great calls. Thank you to Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie. Thank you to Daniel in Special Projects, doing a great job for us. Thank you to Presh in Toronto, crushing it. He's going to double the viewership. Da-da-da-da-da! The viewership, this is an exclusive announcement, an emergency announcement to listeners of This Week in Startups. We doubled the viewership from July to August. We're on track to double the viewership of this very podcast. So I'm super happy about that. And if you go to youtube.com/thisweekin, we are in the comments. I'm in the comments. Presh is in the comments. And maybe Director Tony and Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie will grace us with their presence in the YouTube comments. Right now, they're conscientious objectors to being in the YouTube comments. I'm trying to get them to go in the YouTube comments. So, producer Jackie, get in there. Mix it up in the comments. Director Tony, you're very good at social media. You got the dial-in working well, but I don't see you dropping knowledge and building the community in the YouTube comments. I want everybody in the YouTube comments, because that's how these communities are built. One thumb up and reply at a time. All right. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'm supposed to beg you to review it on iTunes. God, I'm so tired of begging you to review it on iTunes. But if you feel so inclined, write your review, send me the link, or at Jason me, and I'll retweet you. You'll probably get a little follower. It's a little give to get kind of situation. But buy the book, because that makes my publisher super happy. If you haven't read my book, it's angelthebook.com. And that would mean a lot to me if you wrote a review. If you did read the book, don't write a review if you didn't read the book, but read the book. I wrote it for y'all. Listen to it if you like. And we will see you. Oh, by the way, if you want one of the free tickets to LaunchScale, I think there's a couple of free tickets left. I'm going to cut that off any day now, but go to launchscale.net/tickets, launchscale.net/tickets. Get one of the final free founder tickets we just talked about, because once we turn off those 1,000 free tickets, then cha-ching, cha-ching, it's time to turn on the revenue and try to make 100 dime skis to cover the cost of this event from the VCs and the corporates to pay for all this mini media empire we're building here. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.